Welcome to the Intrazone Roadmap Pitstop February 2023 edition. This is a bonus monthly show that answers that burning question in your mind. What's rolling out now for SharePoint and related technology in Microsoft 365? I'm Mark Cashman, Senior Product Manager at Microsoft, here to set the ongoing record straight. This month, I talk with Sesha Mani, Principal Group Product Manager on the SharePoint team focused on admin, security, and compliance. You'll hear us talk about the value of SharePoint Advanced Management, bringing capabilities when working with proposals, contract, invoices, and more. The focus is to help IT address sprawl and oversharing with a new set of advanced security and content management capabilities. Broadly speaking, these are advances in access policies for secure content collaboration and advanced sites content lifecycle management. Beyond the breadth of advanced management, we're going to focus on everything that landed this month, a few related items, and the always fun teasers looking into next month. This podcast is your 30-minute roadmap to stay ahead of the ever-curving Microsoft 365 roadmap. It's time to kick back and get informed about all the tech that rolled out in February 2023. First, we will focus on employee engagement, that one-to-many time to say what you've been working on loud and proud. Most often, these are finished assets, and you're just amplifying them for awareness and getting people in the know. The first thing that we want to highlight for employee engagement is that Yammer is evolving into Viva Engage. You may have seen the hashtag Yammer is engaged. Microsoft announced the intention to rebrand Yammer into Viva Engage in order to provide a consistent and delightful experience to our customers. And we know this is going to take a little bit of time. The change will happen across all existing Yammer services, including web, mobile, and integration spaces where they are Yammer embedded experience within SharePoint, Outlook, and this will occur throughout 2023. In the coming months, you can expect Yammer to become Viva Engage throughout the update of brand elements like logo, app icon, and of course, the name. Not too long ago, we had a great discussion with Michael Holste and Steve Wynn from the Viva Engage team about the rebrand and a lot of new features that are coming to Viva Engage, recently released now at general availability, also in this past month. So you should know Yammer is becoming Viva Engage, and Viva Engage carries forward all the value of Yammer and, of course, bringing in a lot of new capabilities within the Microsoft Viva umbrella. So I encourage you, if you want to go a little bit deeper into this, you can learn and listen to this unique episode of the Intrazone titled Viva Engage Has the Answer. And boy, does it have the answer. And in fact, we got all the answers because we talked about answers in Viva. A little bit of a meta point there, but it was a really great discussion with Michael and Steve. Next, Viva Topics is bringing some new integration within Viva Engage. Again, formerly Yammer. If you're still using or still seeing Yammer, this integration work comes into the fold with both current Yammer and, of course, the evolution and existence of Viva Engage. The value here is really two Viva products interacting and integrating with each other. That is, bringing the value of a topic and a topic's experience into the Viva Engage type discussions. So Engage is integrating and adopting a lot of the topic's capabilities within the community source knowledge that's easily accessible across your organization, and it will support a consistent experience, continuing throughout Microsoft 365, adding now the surface of topics in Engage. So among other things, this brings topic cards that will appear in Engage when you hover on a highlighted topic. And the reverse topic pages and cards will include content from Engage, such as questions and answers and conversations from those relevant and related communities. Just so you know, from an end-user experience, topics are really easy to add to your Engage stories or posts, and it offers your audience a way to dive deeper into a subject in line across all of the available topics. You just hashtag and add the topic using the topics icon, and especially nice when you don't want to make your post too long or cumbersome, but you want to be mindful of those types of projects or acronyms or whatnot that people might not be fully up to speed on. Add a topic and you add a whole lot of value into your post. A lot of great resources here for Viva topics, both in Yammer from an admin perspective and from an end user perspective. Of course, now those will also be updated to be reflective of the new Engage branding. Next is Microsoft Stream on SharePoint has released the capabilities to create, view, and share playlists. And this leverages technology from both Stream, SharePoint, and Microsoft List. It's really delivered as a new list template. And think of this one as like making a mixtape for a friend. And hey, your coworker peers are your work friends. So why not make a mixtape for them within your organization? This feature will allow you to organize video and audio files into a playlist that's then easy to share and play back throughout your organization. Playlist creators can share their playlist with others, and people with access to the playlist and to the files in the playlist can watch and listen to the video or audio files in the order, or you can skip around between the items of interest and play them back at full fidelity, along with those player capabilities that we hope that you're becoming used to, things like chapters, closed captions, adjusting the playback speed, and more. Once you play a video, it is just like playing any other video across Microsoft 365 because of the value of Stream on SharePoint. Stream playlists are both built and accessed via Microsoft Lists, and you can use other list capabilities to manage the actual list itself. The playlist can be created directly from Stream and via the list creation flow across Office, SharePoint, and List, which means wherever you can create a list and also the addition of being able to start from Stream, you can create a playlist. So give it a try. Go to stream.office.com or go to the Lists app in Microsoft 365. You'll find the playlist template, and it's very easy. Choose your files, and you will get a playlist that plays back beautifully. So let us take a pause from all of this playlist and yammering about as we get engaged further with our guest. Our guest this week is Sesha Mani, who is a principal group product manager on the SharePoint team, who focuses pretty broadly across a lot of what we do with admin, security, and compliance features and updates. And he is here with us this month to go a little bit deeper into the newly announced and now readily available SharePoint Advanced Management. We call it SAM internally. So if you see the acronyms SAM, know that it's a ton of new goodness for how you can better control your SharePoint environment. So let's take a pause and talk with Sesha Mani. Welcome to the Interzone, Sesha. Thank you very much for letting me grab some time with you today.
Absolutely, Mark. And thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you through this podcast and our conference sessions as well.
Well, you are at a pretty significant milestone as far as releases go. This is not just a little feature update that's creeped out in February. You're introducing kind of a pretty broad set of capabilities, and I hope we drill into it a little bit so people can understand, what is getting started, but also knowing that there's a lot of places they can turn to learn a little bit more, and of course to learn everything if they want to, look at it, with a fine-tooth nail. But so that we kind of understand where we're headed, so people know when we say this advanced management capabilities for SharePoint, and of course how it relates to some of the already integrated connected apps. Can you just share with us the base level IT controls that are already in place today, maybe where people can remember or go look to see, what capabilities everybody gets, and then we'll get to what is this then on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. I think today the basic management capabilities that we already have in SharePoint, I would put them under basic active sites management. So if you go into the SharePoint Admin Center, you can see all the sites that are in your tenancy with the corresponding policies and configuration settings. And then you can also manage your sharing capabilities within for those sites, as well as at the tenant level as well. In addition to, you can have policies in Microsoft 365 Security and Compliance Center for DLP, data loss prevention policies, for example. So we do have those basic capabilities that helps you to manage your SharePoint content in overall Microsoft 365 ecosystem.
And having content in Microsoft 365, we know that SharePoint is the storage mechanism for a lot of content types. And of course, just a lot of content. What you put into the cloud oftentimes is in SharePoint. And this is no change to that base level control, IT management, of course, the value of security, compliance. Nothing's changed there. And in fact, that's pretty industry leading by itself. But this month, what I wanted to talk to you about was this introduction of SAM. And I'm going to say the acronym because the first time I saw when we were all working on this, I thought, oh, maybe we're doing a special deal with the Seattle Art Museum. So I kept seeing this reference of SAM, not a joke, like that's just where my brain went. But now I know this means and stands for the SharePoint Advanced Management, which of course means a lot beyond the acronym and even those three words. But can you start to give us a little sense of what that is, why we're doing it, and continue from there?
SAM, as you said, is SharePoint Advanced Management. And we are, with this add-on offer, really there are two key areas we are trying to help our SharePoint administrators and the IT administrators. As you all know, with the digital transformation, there is an exponential growth happening in the digital content. And I say this as the sprawl of SharePoint sites. As you know, every team, when you create behind the scene, it creates a SharePoint site. If you go create an M365 group or a Yammer group, it creates a SharePoint site behind the scene as well. So as the SharePoint administrator, when you show up to the SharePoint admin center, you see all these SharePoint sites getting created. And sometimes it's really hard to reason over them. And are we having the right set of policies for these sites or not? And how many of them are really matters the most, right? So sprawl of SharePoint sites is a real problem. Maybe some tenants may not have it today, this problem, but pretty sure in the next year or 2 years, it's going to happen. The second major problem that we are seeing is with especially sharing and the external sharing related scenarios, it's booming. And along with that, there's a problem of oversharing. People have intentionally or unintentionally shared with beyond the number of users they're supposed to share with, right? And they always come to know about them only when there is a data leakage happens. So oversharing of SharePoint content and OneDrive content is really another big problem as well. So we are trying to help administrators, specifically SharePoint and IT administrators, with this SAM add-on to address those two problems.
I know that this one is going to resonate when we talk to our customers in the area we call the Executive Briefing Center or the EBC. A lot of the conversation starts with Microsoft, help me with this sprawl. And a lot of it is the value of turning on the capabilities for people to do the self-service site creation. And alongside that now is the self-service Teams creation, which creates the site and everything. But then there's that notion of how do I control it? Maybe they did have a governance plan, but they're hardening it for something, with some new policies, or just in general, trying to get a hold of how they can better manage the sites. And then it sounds like from what you've shared, also the content within, especially when it involves guests. So just for my, personal opinion / viewpoint of customers in the EBC, I think this one hits a pretty common issue.
Absolutely, Mark. This is a very common, these two problems, the sprawl of SharePoint sites and oversharing is the problems that we heard over and over again in the last few years, I would say. And that's why we wanted to address that problem, help you with the advanced management capabilities as part of the SAM offer.
I know that the original disclosure of the SharePoint Advanced Management was a part of the syntax motion when we disclosed a lot of what is Microsoft syntax. Can you describe, even if it's loosely connected, the relationship to syntax so that people know when they see it either in relation to syntax or just are starting to think about it in a different way?
It is part of the Microsoft Syntax product suite. And one of the main pillars in the overall Microsoft Syntax product suite is the manage pillar. And it's about helping the administrators manage their digital content. And SAM fits right in to that particular pillar. And for example, with Syntax, we're bringing in AI capabilities wherein you can process billions and billions of, be it invoices, training videos, contracts, and proposals, and so on. And that really translates to you have a potential exponential growth in your digital content that is happening in your tenancy. And manage pillar is really helps in the part of the Microsoft syntax is really tailored and focused to help you manage that increase in the digital content itself. And the second major angle that I would talk about in the lens of connecting to the syntax is really about collaboration. As I mentioned earlier, overshadowing is one of the key problems we are trying to solve with the SAM, helping you to solve that. Now, if you think about these syntax-oriented workflows, eventually they will get shared with perhaps internal collaborators or with external users, and eventually they will get e-signed and so on. That's the typical workflow that comes in. As the syntax gets into more adoption, more and more customers start using it, that means sharing is happening a lot. That means overshadowing is also potentially going to increase. That's why we are ahead of the curve, helping you provide these solutions for addressing those overshadowing problems as well. Hopefully that gives you an idea how this overall SAM fits in inside the Microsoft Syntax Manage pillar.
Sesha, I wanted to get from you maybe one of your favorite features or the design or approach of implementing SAM. I know we're not going to touch into the depths of all the features, and I encourage people to go read your blog that has been recently published. It's now available to see everything, both visually and just an enumeration of all of the new technology. But just to highlight a little bit of what SAM is, can you give us a new feature or a design of a feature that highlights what it is and one of those things that maybe you're most proud of?
If I can take the leverage, I'll mention two of them because they're two really related, and it touches on both the problems I talked about, which is the sprawl and oversharing. For example, one of the capabilities we have is, as part of SAM, is the SharePoint Data Access Governance, we call it DAG, insights. And as I mentioned, sprawl is a real problem. You have, let's say, millions of sites in your tenancy. What DAG Insights allows you to do is to discover the top 100 sites that matter the most. And the way that we help you to discover that is based on two main criteria. The first one is the sharing activities that happen in the site, and second one is the number of sensitive documents that are there in the site. So for example, if a SharePoint site has the highest number of company shareable linked document or anyone linked document, well, clearly that site is overshared and it has the potential for data leakage. So the DAG Insights gives you, here are the top 100 sites that have the most overshared items, company shareable link or anyone links. And in the future, we are planning to add more capabilities as well so that you can tell us if a content is shared with a given security group that is broader in your organization, we'll be able to give you that report as well. So that's the insight it gives you. And you may wonder, well, 100 is not enough, Sesha. What about more than that? Yes, we do have a way you can get the top 10,000 sites by downloading a CSV file off of this DAG Insights. This insights, no matter what size of your tenant is, you may have 10,000 sites, you may have 1 million sites, or you may have even 10 million sites. We will scan through all of them and then come back to you with this top 100 sites that matter the most for you. This view also gives you what are the existing policies we have in place. So for example, you have a overshared site, but the policy is there's no device access policy. External sharing is wide open, and that site is a public group site. Well, that clearly is not the right combination. So you may want to adjust the policies right there in the SharePoint Admin Center itself. Connection to this is, as I said, this is the overshared sites. How do we help it even further? We have another capability in SAM called Restricted Access Control Policy for SharePoint sites. We call it RAC policy for SharePoint sites. As the name implies, you can apply this policy to a SharePoint site to restrict access to a given Microsoft 365 group that it is connected to, and in the future, to a given AAD security group itself. So think about a scenario where you have a public group site or any SharePoint site that is wide open shared, and you see a lot of company shareable links happen. The first mitigation you want to do is go and restrict the access and make the site available only to the appropriate number of users through having an M365 group or an Azure AD security group. Now with this RAC policy, which in my opinion is the best authorization access control tool that we have come up with in our service, you can now achieve that. It helps you to immediately mitigate the overshared site problem as well. So I'll pause there. So those are the two. There are so many other, and I would love to spend your time with you, Mark, some other time to have a longer session on SAM. So we can talk about other policies and insights that we have as part of the SAM as well.
I think that's a great idea. And just for today, I thank you for oversharing, and I mean that in the most positive way, in an unrestricted fashion, so that we at least get a sense of what is SAM, marking the milestone, the occasion, of course. Very exciting for you and your team. Before we end here, is there a place or a way for people to get started? I know it's an add-on SKU. It's relatively new in the market. Anywhere we can point people or give them insights into how to get started with a pilot or anything like that?
Absolutely, Mark. Just one URL to remember, aka.ms/learn-SAM, that's SAM, and we'll have all the information right there for you, what capabilities we have, as well as how you can get started with the SAM add-on itself.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for the work that you are all doing on behalf of IT worldwide for that improved minimizing sprawl and minimizing oversharing, but at least giving people those capabilities to manage and control the environment in the way that they want to. But for today, thank you for your time, Sesha.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, Mark. Thank you.
All right, you are now very up to date on how you can best secure your content collaboration experiences, and of course at the site level to be able to control and manage the lifecycle management of those sites and the contents within. It's got a great level of depth. Of course, there's the balance of everything you get at the base level of Microsoft 365 to secure and manage your content. This just takes it to the next level for those that need more IT control and management. Let's switch gears to talk about teamwork. When you're working one-on-one with somebody or one-to-few with your team members, things aren't quite polished and you're working with content that is probably not yet ready for prime time. That's the area where we really want to focus so that you can see this is a huge value to your experience in Microsoft 365, especially when you're working on things in the early phases. The first item within Teamwork is that the OneDrive team is introducing a new OneDrive home experience. That's that land-in experience when you click on the OneDrive app or you type in onedrive.microsoft.com. We've refreshed the OneDrive commercial web landing experience to help you get to the files you're working on quickly and easily. The new OneDrive home experience surfaces your most recent used files along with relevant file activity so you can see everything at a glance and quickly prioritize where to start working. You'll see this new OneDrive home experience when you navigate to OneDrive on the web, and the new view shows all of the files that you've used, ordered by when you last opened them. You can filter this list by file type to quickly find the file that you're looking for. You'll also be able to stay up to date on any changes happening in the file with activity. So look for that new activity column, and it really gives you the insights of what last happened to this file, and if that is of importance, it's one click away to jump into it. This new experience appears alongside the files that you organize more manually and that you own into folders, and that is still remains as the view we call My Files. Again, a lot of activity to help you get back to work, to find the things that you're looking for, and of course, if you own and manage them, you know exactly where they are. All is pretty much updated in the left-hand navigation when you go to the new and updated OneDrive home experience. Now, continuing with OneDrive, we've got a new OneDrive shared experience. Another pivot when you look at that left-hand navigation is all about shared. When you click into the shared with you experience that also is within that left-hand navigation, we're trying to make it easier for users, for you, to be able to more quickly get back to the content that was shared with you. Pretty important pivot of something that you don't own but might have been shared with you in a meeting, over email, in a chat. Those kinds of ways of other people getting their content to you should be really easy to get back to that. So you will find files and folders that have been shared over email, chats, and meetings, and they're going to all be in this one new location. And in addition, you can identify updates to the files, again, with that really important activity column. So you will see the activity even if it's not on a file that you own. As long as you have access to it, you'll be able to access it, view the activity, and of course be able to take actions if somebody's requesting something from you. So If you're scratching your head at some point and saying something like, I know so-and-so sent me that file, and you just can't find it, head over to the new shared experience and then stop scratching that itch and get to work. Next up is a capability within SharePoint that was originally in OneDrive. This is external file requests from a SharePoint document library. So first, this feature was there for OneDrive, and we saw a lot of use of this, especially in those use cases where you maybe want to put a link in your email signature anytime that somebody wants to send you a file. There's a dead simple way for them to be able to do it that's very secure on your end. And we're pleased it's now here for SharePoint document libraries. You now have an easy and secure way to request and obtain files from anyone. Just choose a file in a SharePoint document library where others can upload the files to, and this is accomplished with a unique share link that you share with them. Your recipients who will upload those files upon your request can only upload files. They can't see the content of the folder, they can't edit, delete, or download files, or even see who else has uploaded files. So it's a really nice mechanism visually, but also hardened by true security on the back end. To use this feature in a SharePoint document library, it does need to be enabled at the tenant level. This is an admin control called Anyone Links. And the admins can configure the view, edit, and upload permissions for Anyone Links. One of those things that once you get it set up, it really enables a lot of really helpful collaborative type of experiences, especially when you're wanting maybe larger files to be sent to you or any file to be sent in a managed fashion, one with one click in a place where you maybe normally request files from. Next up, moving over to Microsoft Lists innovations, this one is with Power BI. You can now export a list as a data set to Power BI. We're adding a new option under the Export menu for Microsoft Lists, and you'll see it says Export to Power BI. With this feature, you can easily and quickly create a data set based on the list, and you can take it over into the Power BI service. This is similar to what we have built into the product by nature of going from a list into Power BI. It's kind of like a unique instance of Power BI, but your starting point is the list and the end point is you're kind of within the list. This gives you the ability to export and bring in a lot of that rich data information, data set, into your full-blown Power BI app. It maintains all the value of the list data, but then it gives you that analysis capabilities of Power BI to the full extent of Power BI. A lot of great additional information that I'll have linked in the show notes and in the blog that talks about data sets in the Power BI service and how you can quickly create a data set from SharePoint, effectively from lists. The last team work update is another SharePoint one, and this has to do with when you create a rule that then sends an email notification. You can now create rules for lists and document libraries. Those rules can be created to send automatic email notifications based on events in the target list. When X happens, send person Y a notification. Previously, these email notifications were sent from SharePoint Online. It would have read no-reply at sharepointonline.com. But in order to improve the security of the rules feature, email notifications will now be sent from the email account of the user who last modified the rule. If the rule was newly created, this will be the creator's email address. So it'll look like it's coming from somebody, and it probably will have a little bit more meaning and a little less questioning about where it came from and who sent that. So let's switch over and talk about related technology. Got a number of related technology this month because there just was a lot going on. And I'm going to try something a little bit new that I call quick hits for related items. So the first related item, Microsoft Teams, the Wiki retirement, and the future of what's taking over Wiki, which is OneNote. This is happening in Teams channels, and the Microsoft Teams team announced that the wikis will be retired from Teams, and that they're offering note-taking capabilities, again, through Teams channels powered by OneNote. With this release, people have the option to export their wiki content to OneNote notebooks in the Teams standard channel. And after exporting, people can go to the Notes tab to collaborate using OneNote in channels going forward. So OneNote, because there has been this change from Wiki to OneNote, you should know for what a lot of people were using or wanting to use Wiki for, it's a really easy tool in OneNote, especially as a tab in Teams, to collaborate across the team, to view all channel notes in the team in one place, to organize around a single notebook, get that full rich functioning of editing, typing, annotations, adding images, highlighting, adding files. There's a lot of richness within OneNote. And then it really lives beyond Teams, where you maybe have your own OneNote experience on the desktop. And if you subscribe to that team notebook through the channels, you'll have that all in one place, even on your desktop, especially when you think of going offline. So it also is a really great scenario for being able to search across a broader set of content because Wiki wasn't really a key component of search beyond the actual tab itself. So some really nice work retiring Wiki. That may be a pain point. So this is, of course, an awareness campaign as well. But there's also then that extended value of OneNote replacing Wiki as a common tab type when you need those types of scenarios. Sticking with Microsoft Teams, there's a pretty simple one. Now there will be this automatic lowering of your hand. If you raised your hand after you start talking, then the hand will be automatically lowered. Or you may get a prompt that says, do you want to lower your hand? And it's a really nice way of not looking like you have your hand raised throughout the entire meeting. So if you've already had your question addressed, most likely it'll automatically will have lowered your hand. So look for this. Certainly you still need to raise your hand, but a little bit less thinking or forgetting that, oh, did I forget to raise my hand? You never want to be that person in the meeting. All right, here are 3 quick hits of related technology for February 2023. You can use Microsoft Teams to produce Yammer Live events. This is part of the evolution and movement of some capabilities from one technology to the other. Microsoft Teams is really the center of gravity for where there are meetings of all types. So expect that you can produce and manage a live event. So as part of this rebrand and the app consolidation, Teams Live Events is the successor service that will allow you to create, host, and produce live events with the same functionality that you get with Stream. Next, you can schedule send suggestions, and these are now available kind of to appear automatically within your Microsoft Teams chats. When you compose a one-on-one message in Teams chats after hours, according to the recipient, you will see the schedule of when that person will be back online according to what they've put into the service. So you can then postpone the message delivery to appear when their working hours begin the next day. Or, of course, you can program it for whenever into the future. It doesn't have to be exactly at that time. And the last related quick hit, the Visio personal app in Teams will be available as a Teams personal app. There are no changes to the existing file open behavior. However, there will be and are new abilities that the Visio personal app can provide. So think about this as an easier way to bring Visio as a tab in Teams with a lot of richer functionality. All right, time to move into the teasers. This is the roadmap crystal ball, one that predicts and draws the future with high certainty. Let us now focus on the future that is just around the corner of our calendars. Here are 2 teasers for what's coming in March 2023. Teaser number 1, suggested files in one-on-one chats. Similar to how you get this suggested time of when you may want to send a chat if somebody is off hours, now you're going to get in that same user interface suggested files based on things that you might want to attach into a chat. Teaser number 2, Microsoft Viva Connections is now getting iPad support, which is a really nice canvas to think about the value and innovation coming in of Viva Connections. It's always nice to have a little bit more space to see both the content, the dashboard, and anything else that's been programmed on that homepage. That's it with this month's Peek Ahead. We'll share more details and other updates within the full SharePoint Roadmap Pitstop March 2023 edition next month. We've added learn more links per feature, plus a list of important resources in the show notes and in the corresponding blog post on the Microsoft Tech community published to the SharePoint community blog. I hope you've enjoyed this roadmap pit stop. Pump the brakes. It's time to relax knowing you're all caught up. If anything still leaves you scratching your head, please send us your thoughts and comments to theinterzone@microsoft.com. We're here to put our and your best change management foot forward, and we thank you for taking that step with us into the cloud month after month. This is Mark Cashman saying stay safe in an advanced management sort of way out there on the roadmap ahead.